What's going on? What's going on, man? Let everybody come through.
At the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.
Oh man, salute to everybody in the chat. I'm trying to get this sound right. What's going on, y'all? Can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Let me know if y'all can hear me, man. Comment. Let me know if y'all can hear me.
At the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No. At the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy.
All right. Let me get this. Let me situate the situation real quick, man. Welcome back, man, to the boxing section, man. Thank y'all for coming through. Shout out to all my dogs, man, in the chat, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that new song, man. That's the new intro to the show. Shout out to the Sweet Science Examiner, my boy Tank in the building, baby. What's going on, man? Salute to my brother JB. Salute to you too, my brother Asian Math. Ben Israel, what's going on? Rob Brown, salute family. Yo, so listen, man. Tonight, I gotta get some cooking off, man. We're gonna talk about this Deontay Wilder. What's going on, man? Highly anticipated, man. My dog. Listen, my first Gucci belt came from this man. You know what I'm saying? My first Gucci belt, I bought it from this man. We've been cool ever since, man. My guy. DJ, salute to you, my brother. YV in the building, salute my brother. Of course, my boy Cletus Smith, straight out of Texas. What's going on, big dog? All right, so listen. Okay, we got Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. The undisputed bout is supposed to happen, right? Now I'm gonna give y'all a couple reasons why it's not gonna happen. And I've got some proof. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all something real quick, right? The UFC, they just came out and said they about to have a fight. It's UFC, I think 261, right? So better yet, I'm gonna pull it up for y'all, right? Yeah. So it says Usman Masvidal rematch to headline UFC 261, right? And it says Dana White announces on Twitter that the UFC 261 will be headlined and is set to take place in front of a full crowd in Jacksonville, Florida. Right? Uh, salute, salute to the family. DB in the crib. What's happening, baby? Boxing Truth. Salute to you too, my brother. DJ, what's happening, baby? Gump 88. What's going on? So now listen. We see this, right? We see a date. We see a venue for this fight, right? We can get excited for this fight. We know this fight is getting ready to happen, right? We see this fight. We see it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now let's pull this up. Okay, we got Eddie Hearn, right? He says we like to get a set deal confirmed on the next month. The hard part is always getting everybody to put pen to paper. But this was a major effort from all parties to get this over the line. I actually feel we've done the hard part, right? So no venue, no date, right? Let's go to UFC, known for making fights happen. Okay, they give you the date, they give you the what's going to happen, which UFC fight is going to be, UFC 261, right? So now we got that out the way, right? So now we don't know where the venue is going to be, right? We don't know when the date is, and let's go into detail on why we don't know why that's going to happen. You know why? Because it is. It's all cap. All cap. You feel what I'm saying? Listen, the thing about it is, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, still in litigation, right? They can't do anything until that's over with, right? So now we got Tyson Fury saying he was going to fight. He got Wilder on the table, right? Then all of a sudden, a big deal just came out of thin air to make a big splash, right? Now listen to this. This is only to distract you from the real point. They want us to forget about the Deontay Wilder fight. They want us to forget about the trilogy, right? They don't want us to think about the trilogy. They want us to go straight from the trilogy straight to the undisputed bout. So they want us to go straight to the undisputed bout. They don't want us to think about the trilogy that could happen. You know what I'm saying? They want you to go straight to the unification, but the undisputed bout, right? So they don't want to talk about the fact that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are still in litigation. They don't want to talk about this, how they haven't made a ruling just yet. But they want to tell you the fight has been done. Now, the fight could be done. The fight could be made, right? It could be made, right? But it could happen after Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? The fight that they got set to make could be after Deontay Wilder fights Tyson Fury. They could do a fight deal where no matter what the situation is, they still fight Tyson Fury. But the thing about Tyson Fury that we know is he's an habitual, compulsive liar. You know what I'm saying? We know that he always lying about something. He hasn't told the truth yet. He's constantly telling us, oh, I'm going to fight this guy December 5th. Oh, Deontay Wilder, he backed out the fight. He didn't want to fight, right? So then now it's Deontay Wilder, that fight's on the table, right? But at first he wasn't going to fight him at all. But this fight is on the table. Now, oh, he's fighting Anthony Joshua. The deal has been done. Man, give me a goddamn break. All right. My boy, Dre Bug, man, what's happening with you, man? Salute to you, family. Thanks for coming through and chopping it up with us. All right, guys. So if y'all want to join the panel, y'all already know, man. It's in the chat. You feel me? It's in the chat. So if you want to stop in the panel, you know what I'm saying, and give your thoughts about this Tyson Fury bogus ass fight that's not gonna happen, you let me know. What's going on, D Walk, man? It's been a minute. We ain't seen you in a while. What's happening? So yeah, man, that's just one of my takes on the matter, right? So now we got now we got this. Now let's go to this aspect. Let's talk about the fact that when you were down on your luck, you were homeless, fat, overweight, out of shape, broke, uh, not a pot to piss in, nor a window to throw it out of, neither a yard for the shit to land on. Here you come. The man that gave you a shot, gave you 2 chances. You know what I'm saying? You backed out the first rematch, took 2 extra fights before you fought him. Then you cheat the man. And now you don't want to get him in a rematch. The man basically put money in your pocket, millions in your pocket, made your name relevant again, put food on your kids' table. You know what I'm saying? For them to eat. And for you to pull this shit to say, oh man, he could have got the fight happen, but he waited too long. And now you still haven't fought. This fight happened a year and some change ago, and we're still talking about it. We're not even talking about the trilogy. We're still talking about the fight that happened. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this: if it's all this controversy surrounding the fight, then I'm getting back in the ring, and I want to show y'all that I'm the man, that I can beat this guy. You know what I'm saying? If it's what it is, if that's what it is, if I'm saying to myself, okay, they think I cheated, all right, I'm going right back in there, and now we fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show you that you can't fuck with me. That's what real niggas do. You know what I'm saying? But if I know they can't fuck with me, you know what I'm saying? I'm going right back at it. Like, for instance, back in the day, I used to post people up, right? People used to say, hey man, stop posting up. Why don't you shoot a jump shot? You know what I'm saying? I used to say, nah, stop me from posting up. You know what I'm saying? So if you think that you can kill Deontay, we can beat Deontay Wilder again, you can knock him out, whatever, then show us what you got. Show us that you can knock him out. You know what I'm saying? Let us see what you about. You know, but that's just one of my takes on the matter. TBS, I'm here to let the show begin. What's going on, man? Salute to you, my brother. I don't know how to say that name, bro. I'm not gonna try to butcher it. But I'm gonna say EP. Salute to you, my brother. But yeah, man. So salute to my dog, Sir Reggie Owens. Whenever you get a chance, Reg, you can join the panel for sure. Okay, so that's my thing about the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? It's like I gave you a chance, right? So now that I give you a chance, come fight me. You think you can beat me? Beat me again. You said you beat me when the first fight was a draw. You said you beat me. All right, let me see you really beat me again. And if you beat me this time, okay, you can have a belt. You know what I'm saying? What we say in the Bay Area, 42 pump fake. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of James Worthy. You know what I'm saying? So he's known for doing this type of shit. Like, there's nowhere we seen him give that $7 million offer to Charlo. We're still looking for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that goes along with Eddie Hearn that we can't get with, that we can't grab. You know what I'm saying? And for me, as a boxing fan, Deontay Wilder, he needs to get what he deserves, and he deserves that trilogy fight. You know what I'm saying? Not only because it's legal, but because morally it's right. See, that's the problem. The people are not stand-up gentlemen anymore, man. You know what I'm saying? Boxing was supposed to be a gentleman's sport. You know what I'm saying? And now we can let cowards like Tyson Fury come in and shape and shift the way things are supposed to be. Now, you say you can beat him, right? If you can beat him again. You know what I'm saying? In the words of the great philosopher Sean Carter, if you made Hove, okay, we'll make another Hove. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want to see happen. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want to see shape. But if there's no fight date, I'm not buying it. If there's no venue, I'm not buying it. And this is why. This is why we're not buying it. Right? They announced the fight, they announced the venue, and they announced the date. That's what UFC did. You know what I'm saying? Boxing, Top Rank, nor Eddie Hearn in the Zone gave us any of these things that UFC gave us. You know what I'm saying? Headline, rematch. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury need to take a note about a rematch, my boy. Salute to you, my brother. Kangaroo Jack, what's happening, man? Talk to me.
How are we? How are we, buddy? Good? Keeping healthy?
Going on, man? How you feel? How you feel?
Well, I'm in the same boat as everyone else, probably a bit more spectacle. Uh, Personally, I don't really believe. I actually don't think the fight's going to happen. I just have this feeling. You know, you can announce the fight all you want, but unless there's a venue and a date, I don't believe anything that's coming out of anybody. For me, you know, this is arguably the biggest heavyweight fight since 1999 when Lennox Lewis won the undisputed titles. This is a massive fight, no doubt about that. And I'm in Australia, and it's all over the news here. So if it's, you know, this is a massive fight. I need to see a date and venue for me to believe it's on. There must be something going on behind the scenes for me personally. I don't know whether it's on the Eddie Hearn side, whether it's on the Bob Arum side. Maybe they can't come together with the broadcasters, et cetera, et cetera. But what are you thinking?
I just think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think what they're trying to do right now is sell us the fight. We forget about Deontay Wilder. That's the main thing going on right now. So then the deal is done. Then we just say, all right, Deontay Wilder, just get out there. Let this fight happen. We want to see this fight. We don't want to see the trilogy fight no more. You lost the last fight. Get no more. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what they're doing right now. Because you know the thing about mainstream media, right? If you see something enough, you begin to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, when you watch basketball, you know this guy is washed up. He's over with. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes to another team, and then he balls out. Then they change their tune. You see what I'm saying? So we just getting ready for a changing of tunes. You know what I'm saying? Right now they saying Deontay Wilder is done. He finished and all that stuff, right? But soon as he wins the fight, if he fights Tyson Fury and he wins, all this is forgotten. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at with it, man. I just feel
I
like.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think as well. For me, see, all along over the last, let's say, 6 years, I've followed closely with Wilder and Fury. I followed closely because I personally don't rate Anthony Joshua. I never have. Um, I think Fury's number one and Wilder's number two. I think Wilder's being thrown under the bus personally. You know, this guy had 40 fights and he knocked out everybody that stood in front of him, and he arguably fought the best Tyson Fury and lost. But everyone wants to forget about him now. So where's that coming from? You see what I'm saying? You know, where's this all coming from? Maybe it's a media pushed agenda. You know, Wilder, for me, Wilder will knock out any of the top five heavyweights on any given day.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just throwing him under the bus, So I don't know. I just think it's all crap at the second.
No, I'm with you 100%, man. I'm with you 100%.
Who's Wilder fighting at the second? Who's he got signed? Has he signed anything with anybody? I heard potentially Ruiz. I've heard potentially what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. That big docile bloke, Charles Martin. That's it. I heard those blokes potentially. Otto Wallin, maybe as well.
Yeah, but it's nothing's been signed on either side. Though, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's no fight dates, so you know what I'm saying. We can't really put that in perspective. Shout out to my dog Dave the Real Thomas, and of course, boxing pugilist, the homie, man. Salute to you for coming through here, man, and showing some love. Hey DJ, man, if you want to join the panel, the link is in the chat.
Who, in your opinion, for you, I'm hoping in the next 4 to 5 days, Bob Arum or Eddie Hearn come out and announce a date, because I don't think it's all. Well, I hope. But who wins for you? Who are you putting your house on?
For Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be a draw. Easy,
I
man,
think
brother. It's
for
gonna be
me, I have a feeling that actually the press conferences are going to be interesting because we see Tyson Fury come out the last 3 days. I don't know if you watched any of his interviews, but this is where the games start for Tyson Fury. This is where he begins to start to mentally drain his opponent. He's done it for years, you see. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. But I personally think Fury will win by decision. I think he'll outbox Anthony Joshua. He's got too much in his arsenal. He's easily the more superior boxer. Would you agree?
I mean, I can't. Because Joshua's a good boxer, man. You know what I'm saying? He can box. But you can give it to Tyson Fury, but I think what they both do well, it can offset, and I just think that I think it's gonna be a draw, man. I don't see Tyson Fury just walking through him like he think he is.
Oh no, I don't think. I don't think anybody's thinking. I mean, I don't think Tyson Fury's thinking he's going to walk through AJ. There's definitely not going to be a. See, this is what I'm saying. If Fury can get off, I'm just matching them both up at the second in my head. If Fury can come out and dictate the early 4 to 5 rounds off the end of his jab, which he does very well. People underestimate Tyson Fury's jab, especially if you know boxing. He's definitely, his ring craft is unbelievable if you watch him closely. He's awkward. He's got that herky jerky sort of approach to it. He throws awkward punches. He can fight. He can fight southpaw. He can fight. He's very, very smart. Where AJ, he's more that flat-footed, stiff, come forward 1-2 sort of fighter. He hasn't really got that bounce around sort of approach to the fight. Maybe the second fight against Andy Ruiz, he showed another side to his boxing category. But for me, I think Fury's got the nod based on what he's got in his arsenal.
Okay. Now, hey, I mean, I feel you, man. It's just for me, man. I just think with the money that's on the table for that, there's no way they skip out on a rematch in the trilogy for that. Bob Arum was always talking about rematches and trilogies. That's his favorite thing to do. My boy, boxing pugilist, what's going on, big dog? Man, salute to you for joining the panel, man. What are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight?
If peace to the boxing session and the people in the chat and the panelists. If the fight takes place, it's an interesting fight. Anthony Joshua in that fight. I know a lot of people is picking Tyson Fury. I'm not picking him. I think that Joshua showed me something with his adjustment in that fight. Everybody was criticizing him about how he fought Andy Ruiz, but he showed me something that guy's an Olympic gold medalist, and those guys tend to have a different pedigree than them other fighters. I would not have the way he fought that fight against Ruiz in that rematch is not something I anticipated with the way he had fought previously, because he's really a stand-up boxer and puncher primarily. But by him showing the ability to do that, it showed me a whole nother side. And and it's something that, my years in boxing, I learned when you come to dealing with guys like that, those Olympic pedigree guys, and particularly the Olympic gold medalists, they show an ability, because most people wouldn't have thought he would even been capable of doing that. The fact that he had the mental capacity to change and the willingness to change. See, this is what people are not looking at as a boxer. His willingness to change. He unbulked himself up, dropped that weight, so he could use a style that he felt he could use to beat Ruiz.
He adapted. Yeah, he adapted very well.
And it worked. Now a lot of people wasn't happy with what he did, because previously he had been knocking guys out and stuff like that. But that shows a whole nother level of a fighter
Mm.
on a mental side that people is overlooking. In boxing, look, one of my mentors, which was the late great Sal Mamby, the former junior welterweight champion of the world. Sal Mamby once told me that. He said, "Look, he said, boxing is 95% mental, man. You know, it's 95% mental, and everybody likes to look at the physical aspects of that, but it's mostly a mental sport. You
Hey,
know, this this is why you see like some of those great fights that Muhammad Ali won in the second half of his career. He won it more on the mental side because physically he wasn't the fighter he was in the '60s anymore when he came back.
so
So he
Pew,
won those boxes here.
so
His
Pew, not
head.
to cut you off, but I gotta ask you this though: if Andrew Ruiz is the same Andrew Ruiz from the first fight that he was in the second fight, how would you have seen that fight play out? Because Andrew Ruiz kind of dropped the ball, man. Eating, he wasn't as hard as he was before. So if it's the same Andrew Ruiz that fought the Anthony Joshua in Dubai, wherever they fought at, where have you would have seen that fight?
Now, granted, Andy Ruiz probably wasn't in the condition he should have been in, but Andy Ruiz is always fat. He's always fat. There's not much difference than what he wasn't much difference. Had Andy Joshua stood there and tried to fight him, he could have did what he did the first fight. Look, it's an old adage in boxing, and it's never going to change. Styles make fights. Anthony Joshua changed his style. That's why he won that fight. And styles win fights always. So Andy Ruiz, everybody keep talking about, oh, he ain't take the fight. Andy Ruiz is always fat, man. He never come in stealth. So had Anthony Joshua stood there and fought the same style he fought in the last fight, because it wasn't Anthony Ruiz. That's what everybody keeps looking at. Oh, no, it wasn't him. It was Anthony Joshua. Because had Anthony Joshua stood there and fought the same exact way he fought that first fight, he'd have got knocked out again. You understand? But he made the adjustment. It's not just that Anthony Ruiz was so much out of shape. You couldn't really tell much difference because he looked pretty much the damn near same. If you hadn't heard the weights from the scale, you'd have said he looked the same because he always looked that way because he got that type of body. But it's the style that Joshua imparted that made him lose that fight. It wasn't just that he was out of shape because it had Anthony Joshua stood there and fought the way he normally fought, the outcome probably would have been the same. He employed a different style. When you
I
get in the ring with a when you get in the ring with a guy who's sticking and moving, that shit is hard. That's not an
he
easy style to
yeah.
win against. It's not.
I've
You
got
know, you
a
got to know how to cut this
yeah.
ring off. You got to know how to cut this ring off. And this generation of boxing doesn't really know how to do that. To actually cut the ring off, that's a lost art in the sport of boxing. To really know how to cut the ring off, and even with, like I said, you take a guy like John Ruiz, like I said, he's always had that pudgy, overweight body. It wasn't so much his condition because he still went the distance in the fight, and at times he was letting his hands go. But it was just the style that Joshua employed that made it difficult for him. Because had he stood there, because look, even in that fight, even you can agree, when Andy Ruiz was letting his hands go, his hands were still quick. He just couldn't catch him because Anthony Joshua has set in his training camp to move and stick and move. I'm not gonna trade with this guy because he got hurt in that last fight. So he knew he couldn't stand there with him at either way. So that
I
was
would
really the
say
difference.
I would say with that, sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
know, I don't really look into the Andy Ruiz Anthony Joshua fight too much for me,
Hmm.
especially the first fight. The second fight, I liked the way Anthony Joshua tweaked with the way he approached the fight. You know, and he decided to come in and do a different tactic, and that's exactly what he should have done the first time, right? You can't just go, you trade with Andy Ruiz because let's keep in mind, Andy Ruiz is a very good boxer for his size. You know, he can throw down. Um, he arguably won the WBH world title in New Zealand when he fought Joseph Parker, but got ripped off in my
Yeah,
opinion. Um,
I agree as well.
but for me, I'll just go back to what someone said in the comments. Something about, where is it? Sorry. He said Andrew Ruiz is way shorter than AJ. It was easy for AJ to keep him at distance, and because of his chin, he knew not to trade in the second fight. But Fury is way bigger and quicker, and I agree with that. I think you're disputing here. If Anthony Joshua comes in, hang on. If Anthony Joshua comes in against Fury the way he did in the first fight against Andy Ruiz, I believe he can knock out Tyson Fury. But if he comes in like he did in the second fight against Andy Ruiz and tries to bounce around and box, that falls into Fury's hands because Fury gets better as the fight goes on. He's very slick. He can fight both sides. He bounces around. His ring IQ is good. He can lean on you. And Fury's a lot bigger than AJ. I've seen them both in person. Fury's a lot more taller, arms a lot bigger. AJ's just a lot more muscly. He's a bit of a bodybuilder. But that won't work against Fury, I don't believe. I think Fury will come in heavy, and I think he'll just outbox him. I think Fury's got the more superior boxing ability. He's proved it over the years. It's just AJ needs to look for the knockout, and if he doesn't get the knockout, he's in trouble for me.
Well, for me, I think this is the thing about it for me. Tyson Fury gets more credit than he deserves. Because a lot of times the punches that he's throwing, they don't even land. You know what I'm saying? And they give him a lot of credit for the Deontay Wilder fight, the first one. And if you rewatch that fight and really pay attention to the to the punches, he really wasn't landing no solid punches on Deontay Wilder, to be honest with you. And I felt like he won more rounds than they gave him. And I just think it's going to be a draw, man. I just think both fighters are going to cancel each other out.
Boxing section. Just
Marvin
real quickly, brother. Just real quickly, sorry. I just
ahead.
have to respond. I just have to respond to that because let's not forget here. You don't have to be You don't have to be beating somebody and outboxing somebody and landing clear punches. You just have to be awkward and defensively sound to make the other fighter look stupid. I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather. He never used to land clear punches, but he always outboxed him and defensively was sound, and he bounced around the ring a lot of the time. You see, so some of the fights he wasn't the aggressor and still won convincingly on the scorecards. So sometimes you just got to stars make fights, as you say. Maybe Fury does get. Maybe they give Fury a little more credit because he's, the boxer that doesn't go for knockouts, and he's more the slick boxer through the years. But if I weigh it up, you probably give Fury the nod. But that's just.
Yeah, it's close. It's going to be an interesting fight. And that's why I went to the old adage styles make fights, because for me, Joshua showed me another a different level that I didn't not necessarily suspected that he had by making that adjustment in that fight. You do when you train for a fight. This is something that I learned, over the years. When you're watching great fighters, you have to have that ability to adjust. And you know who was real good with that in recent years was somebody like Andre Ward. Now Andre Ward was great with that shit. Like per each fighter. Like when he fought in the Super Six, I liked him, but I didn't pick him to win the Super Six. I actually picked Andre Durrell to win that shit. But as I watched him in that tournament, and I saw how he adjusted to every opponent he fought. He did just what he needed to do to beat every opponent due to the style that he was going up against. I came away with a whole different level of respect for him as a fighter with that shit. Like
you go by for what the late great trainer Emmanuel Stewart said. He said this a few years ago. He come out and said, to beat Tyson Fury, you're going to knock that motherfucker out.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to keep him down. And if you don't do that, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And look at the last.
He's a big guy.
But let me get this.
I agree with that. He's a big dude, and he has some ability. I'm not going to I'm not going to be just the one to be like, oh, he can't do this. Now he has some ability, but I just feel that like overall, like I saw the fight with like the fight he had against Wallen. He barely won that fight. He was lucky as hell to win that fight. Now in that same situation, he can't beat Anthony Joshua looking like that. Now people that say, well, he wasn't up for the fight, this and that, so on and so forth. You got to be up for them shits when you're the heavyweight champion of the world all the time. You understand? So you got to be up for those fights all the time. So if that was somebody like Joshua in there, Joshua is far more talented than Walling is, than Otto Walling is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
but you can't hang on, but you
mhm,
can't say that when Anthony Joshua's already slipped up against opponents like that. Fury has
mhm.
never slipped up. He's
But
never lost.
Well, when
whoa.
you say he never slipped up, no. Well, it's not always that. It's not always that. Just because you get the victory, it's not that you haven't slipped up. It exposed things in your style. You understand? That fight against Wallen exposed a lot in his style. You know that he's vulnerable to. And in a fight coming up against Joshua, you're going to study your opponent and you're going to see these things and you're going to look to employ them in those fights as well. So there was a lot to be learned in that fight that he could use in his fight with him. Even though he got the victory, he got the victory on paper, but there was a lot of things, a lot of holes, a lot of things that were shown in that fight that could be used against him, that Anthony Joshua could use against him.
Boxing
Hold on real quick.
conversations, Reggie.
Let me drop something real quick. I gotta shout my dogs out. P Good, man. Salute to my brother for stopping through. J.A. Dixon, one more time, man. Appreciate you for sliding through, man. Go ahead. What you about to say, Kate?
Boxing conversations just said Steve Cunningham. Or can you go back to that one for me,
Yeah,
please?
Steve Cunningham.
Because I watched that fight. That was the fight that I watched. Steve Cunningham was whipping Tyson Fury's ass way before Wallen. I watched that fight clearly,
Hmm.
and
Oh, that's my dude.
Steve Cunningham was outboxing Tyson Fury until Tyson Fury decided to change up, as you said before. AJ
Mm-hmm.
changed it up. Fury changed up mid-fight and leaned all over Steve Cunningham and smashed him to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where great fighters are made.
But
Steve Cunningham is a great boxer.
that was illegal. That he held him down and then hit him. That was illegal. You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't even account it. That
Yeah,
shouldn't.
but even before that, that's my dude. I actually know SS Cunningham. That's my dude. It's a good brother right there. Now he was a cruiserweight. He's a smaller dude. He's a smaller heavyweight. And Tyson Fury is big, man. He just started leaning on him. And it wore him out a little bit, and that's why he was able to come on in the way he did, like with that adjustment. He just did the plain and simple fact. He just used his size. He used his size, and it took a toll. It started taking a toll on Steve. That's all that really was. Skill wise, Steve was outdoing him for a while, but he started using his size, and that is what ultimately ended up taking a toll
I
on him.
I would
But
say
Joshua was a bigger dude than Cunningham.
And that's my point. Okay, now I got a question for y'all, right? We're gonna switch gears and come back.
Okay.
With experience, right? With experience, Jared Anderson versus Tyson Fury, boxer versus boxer, slick versus slick. But I'm saying I'm saying down the line, I'm saying if you say experience for experience, who are you taking in that fight and why?
Mm.
Me,
He
Tyson
need more.
Fury.
He need more. Yeah, right now I would have to go with Fury. He needs more experience.
No.
Anderson.
Listen to what I'm saying. All experience is equal. They both had the same amount of experience. Who are you taking in that fight?
Tyson
Well,
Fury.
this I don't know. I got to see more from Anderson. I got to see more from him. He got super talent though. From what I'm seeing thus far, he looked like he got the goods. you know. But I need to
He
see a
does
little
have the
bit
goods.
more.
He's very, very slick. Very slick.
But just like, but this other kid, what's this kid? The other kid in England who just lost to
Daniel
who just
Dubois.
lost. Dubois was looking great too. You know, you don't know until you get in that ring. He was looking great too,
Mm.
and everybody was picking him to be that dude. A lot of people was picking him to be that dude. You know what I'm saying? So
His
we just
his
need. I got to see more.
his box work though, that box work was trash.
You
See,
know?
the thing about it, man, these box recs, like if you don't look at their box rec, you would think that these fighters are like the best fighters to ever live. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
like look and see who they was fighting, you be like, oh, cause see, so I'm gonna give y'all a secret, right? When I bet,
Hmm.
when I bet on fights, I go back so far from each loss or each win, and I just go back from see who they lost to see who they lost. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'll be going
Hmm.
back and back and back and back. So when he lost to Joe Joyce, it didn't really surprise me. You know what I'm saying?
Joyce a good fighter though. Joyce a good fighter though. Actually, like that
And
was a
Joe,
good
Joe
fighter.
Joyce. Joe Joyce is what
He
you call a
was a
guy
good fighter.
that will keep coming forward all the whole fight. He's just, but you know, I'll tell you something. I'm all the way in Australia, right? And since 2014, I have said to everybody. I mean, before the Fury fight against Wilder, the first fight, the first time, I said to went into on YouTube and joined these live panels with Americans, some UK people, blah blah blah. And I said to them, I said, Wilder is either going to knock Fury out or it's going to be a draw. The first fight, right? And then in the 12th round, I made my decision. When I seen that 12th round in the first fight, I said, the second fight, Fury will absolutely destroy Deontay Wilder. That 12th round where Fury got back up and he came forward, I seen some flaws in Wilder that I'd never seen before when he's on the back foot in that 12th round. Coming into the second fight, I said to myself, you know, we'll see how Wilder goes, but he's one-dimensional, Wilder. I rate his jab though. I rate his jab. I do rate Wilder's jab when he's got that distance. But then Fury decided to come forward and put it on Wilder. You know, you can't. You have to just put it in this perspective. You know, Wilder isn't technically gifted, is he? He's not. He's
no,
he's
not, you can say he's not as skilled, but gifted. He's gifted. I mean, he's a gifted athlete, man. You don't do what he's done and not being gifted. Now you can say he's not skilled as Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, but gifted. I mean, to start boxing at 21 years old and win a bronze medal and become a heavyweight champion and defend that thing 10 times. I mean, you gotta be some type of great.
Look, the reality is like things happen for a reason. That
mm,
loss for him, it could only make it can help to just make him a better fighter. See, he suffered from what every great puncher gonna suffer from. When you're knocking everybody out, at some point you don't feel the need to focus on your other gifts, your other abilities. You
Yeah.
understand? I've seen improvement. You know, I've been arguing with people for years about Deontay Wilder. But initially when they were first was talking about Deontay Wilder fighting Anthony Joshua before he lost to Ruiz, or maybe about a year before that, I was picking Joshua to beat Deontay Wilder. But that year after that, that year of development I saw in Wilder, with his development of his left hand, his ability to use the jab more and set up his punches more, then I put him over Joshua. So there was some development there. But what happens is when you continuously start to knock people out, and this is the tradition in boxing. Even somebody like George Foreman when he was younger, he was knocking everybody out. But George Foreman had good, solid boxing skill set. But when he started knocking
Hey,
everybody out, he
oh
went
man,
away from that.
oh my bad, Pooches. Hey,
Mhm.
can come back anytime, bro. Anytime you want to come on, man, come on back, man.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so that's what tends to happen. That happens with many great punches. You know, you get so caught up with that knockout ability, you start believing your press clippers, and you kind of go away from some of the other good skills that you actually possess. Deontay Wilder is a lot better boxer than he's given credit for. People always like, oh, he ain't got no skills. That's bullshit. You ain't getting to no 40 and nothing or old without some. more ability than just punching. You just not. It's not happening. He has other ability, but in his recent fights, he came through with that punching power. So at times, I think it made him shy away from his other ability that he does possess. Now that loss should do what it should do. Make him make him become a better complete fighter. Because he know he got the power. He can do that from day one. So all he has to do is implement the other skills that he does possess. Because he does have a good jab. You know, he has a good jab and a quick left hook when he uses it, when he chooses to employ it. He just hasn't been doing it as much because he's been knocking everybody out damn near as soon as he land that right hand. But a loss could be good for you too, because it can make you refocus on your total boxing skill set. You understand that? And it happens to all great fighters, you know. It can just refocus you that I need to do more with what I actually possess. Because everybody always arguing, oh, he can't box. I'm like, yes, he can. He can box. Because you can look at fights, because I've seen the improvement in him in his career. I've seen the improvement when he went from just throwing a lot of wild, wide shots to setting up behind the jab. Like that knockout he had of in the rematch of Bermain Stervain, that
Yeah.
rematch, that shit is picture perfect classic. Like that's textbook technique. Straight down the pipe, down the middle. Can't do it no better than that shit. And it was picture perfect. So he has technique. It's just a matter of him not being drunk with his knockout ability all the time. Because he got quick hands and he has a unusual power in his punches. He just got to let his hands go more and use more of his overall skill set. And this kind of loss could make him do that shit. Like he just gonna reevaluate and go back to those things. Cause he ain't no dummy. He hear everybody saying he can't box. He hear that shit. So he gonna want to prove. He gonna want to improve. So these are the things that make you a better fighter. You don't get better. Like I learned that from one of my coaches when I was an amateur. A fighter doesn't get better by all his victory. It's his losses that improve you. It's your losses that improve you, not your wins. You understand? You gotta have tough fights that you either actually lose on paper or the majority of the fans feel you lost, but you got the decision. Those fighters come back better. It's like you take Floyd Mayweather. On paper, Floyd 50-0. But I know a lot of people who feel Floyd ain't really undefeated. Because they feel he lost it. Because they feel he lost that Castillo first fight. I'm not one of them. I think he barely pulled that shit out, but I do think it was close.
But
You understand? Huh?
And he was injured in that fight too.
Yeah, and I still think he pulled it out, but I do think it was close. But he learned from that shit, and he schooled him in that rematch. He became even better in the rematch because of the attrition and how close that fight was. You understand? Depending on the judges of that fight, he could have lost that fight, but he got the victory. He got the victory, but it made him a better fighter because he totally outclassed him in that rematch. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what can happen to Joshua. Wilder. I think Wilder gonna come back because a lot of people like, oh, he don't stand a chance against him. I beg to differ. I think he can come back. It's gonna force him to have to rely more on his overall ability and use more of the skills that he has actually acquired that he just chose to go away from.
Now I got a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so now where does this leave Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder? Do you want to see the trilogy, or do you want to just say forget that? Let's go to the undisputed bout.
Nah, hell no. I want that trilogy.
For sure.
He deserve it. Because boxing is supposed to be a gentleman's sport, man. And to be man to man. Look, one thing I gotta absolutely give Deontay Wilder credit for, he a man's man in that regard. He gave him that first fight, which he really didn't have to do. You understand what I'm saying? but I understood his reasoning in taking the fight, which was smart, because a lot of people was looking at him still as the lineal champion because he had never lost in the ring, Fury.
Yeah.
So that was smart by him taking that fight. Now, Styles do make fights,
Hold
but
on.
because
Hey,
go ahead.
Pew. Hey, Ben Israel, join the panel. All right, join the panel. If you want to talk about Bud Crawford, join the panel. We'll talk about Bud Crawford. Go ahead, Puge.
Yeah, so when he had that first fight, and stylistically, it gave him, a little. It was a little troubling for him in that I felt that he was so hyped to get the knockout, he didn't use more of his ability. Because at that point, he know he can hit anybody. He taking them out, and in my opinion, he did. In my opinion, he stopped Fury. The count was wrong. What's the name didn't do that count correctly.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? In my opinion, he was down more than 10 seconds. You understand what I'm saying? So he deserved to actually have won that fight. But, they didn't give it to him like that.
For
Now,
sure.
in that, now, like I said, stylistically, it was a little, I contribute that to two things. One, like I said, I felt he was really anxious and hyped. But that was a really big fight for Deontay at that time. That was the biggest fight in his career. And it was a lot on the line for him. So I think he was a little anxious, over anxious. And he was trying so hard for that knockout pretty much through the whole fight from the beginning of the fight. He wasn't really trying to, set up the fight in the way in which he should have. And he even said it after in the interview after. So, and you clearly could see it. But I just feel that he was an honorable man. Let's keep it 100. He gave him a rematch. He didn't have to. Look, if you say stylistically, somebody like Fury was giving him problems, there are plenty of fighters who would say, "Fuck that! I got that draw. I'm not fighting you no more."
And I got the money.
Exactly, and he got paid, But he's an honorable dude. And Deontay Wilder really felt in his heart he the best.
Yeah.
He really feel that shit in his heart that he was the best. So he was willing to take that rematch again, and he was sure in his heart, I learned enough in this fight, that first fight, that I could take him out in the rematch. And he showed that shit with Ortiz too, because Ortiz failed the drug test. He still gave him another shot after that, and then Ortiz rocked him, stunned his ass in that first fight.
Yep.
And he could have been like, "Nah, this motherfucker too dangerous. I ain't giving him no rematch." He gave him a rematch, and was getting damn and was getting out boxing that shit too.
And
Only because he wasn't letting his hands go. See, I think it's just a matter of him letting his hands go, and he still ended up knocking him out. So I respect him for that.
That was a set.
So I respect him.
Right. But Pew, check
I
this.
respect him for that shit. Yeah, go ahead.
And think about this. Think about the type of man Deontay Wilder is, though. Luis Ortiz failed the drug test, right?
Yes.
And his daughter was sick, and Deontay Wilder said, "You know what, man? I'm gonna help you make the most money you ever made in your life to feed your daughter twice."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. And that's a tough opponent. On top of that, to keep it funky,
that's
a tough ass opponent. Cause believe me, Ortiz he'll give hell to most of them other guys, man. Why you think nobody else wanted to fight him? They ain't want that smoke. They talk all that shit they want to about his age and this and that. Ain't nobody wanted to fight him but Deontay Wilder.
Exactly.
You ain't seen none of them other ones fight him. Tyson Fury and them talking all that shit. Dillian White talking all that shit. Ain't nobody else for him but Deontay Wilder. You understand what I'm saying? So, cause he's skilled. He's skilled and he can punch, man. Only the best of the best gonna beat him. And that's because Deontay Wilder is one of the best of the best. That's why he beat him.
That's a fact. SF City Slicker, man. Hold on, I got to shout you out, my brother. SF City Slicker, my dog, man. Salute to you, fighting through here, man. So Puge, if you Deontay Wilder, right? Would you take step aside money if the number is right, or do you say, "Nah, I want this fight. I need this fight"? And we had a set last night. Also, I want you to answer this after this.
Okay.
got a segment on the show last night where somebody wanted Deontay Wilder to retire. All right, you can answer either one of those
Okay.
questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll take the first question. Should he take the step aside money? I would say no right now. He should keep trying to pursue it for a little bit longer to see what happens. To see what happens. Like if he can make that happen, I think he should pursue it a little longer. But if they keep stalling him off after a certain time, he has to make a decision for his career. See, because as a fighter, you got to fight. That's how you keep yourself relevant in the fans' eyes. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with a knockout puncher like him. Because if he get an opportunity to fight somebody, let's say he get a chance to fight John Ruiz, and he go out there and starts John Ruiz, that's going to send his stock sky high again. So I don't want him to take the step aside money just yet. I want him to pursue it a little longer to see if he can get that shit. But if let's say by the summer he don't get it, maybe it need to be time for him take the step aside money and then just pursue his career. Just do him, like go back to just doing him and building his image. Because if he got there winning in the way that he does, he'll force them to have to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
The general consensus is going to be like, look, you running from him at the end of the day. So I would prefer that. And as far as him retiring, hell no, he don't need to retire yet. Hell no, why? Then he
So,
got one loss.
so I'm gonna give you the reason why. I don't agree. So somebody was saying, well, my dog H Money was saying because he took a lot of punishment in that Fury fight with the loaded gloves and he got a dent in his head and things like that.
Nah, I don't agree with that shit. He started boxing when he was 20. How old is Deontay Wilder now? 30.
5.
Yeah, 35. Nah, hell no. He look, I was a fighter, man. Look, you don't gotta when you fighting, you training and you sparring and shit every day, you taking punches, so on and so forth. Now, boxing is the hurt business. It's a very dangerous sport. One of my stable mates actually died and shit. So I know how real that shit is. I was the last person to spar with him. He fought that following week and he died. So I know how real that shit is. It's real to me. But nah, he don't need to because he been off. Look how long he been off. He ain't fought over a year. His body healed. He should be more than healed. You understand what I'm saying? That he take care of himself. He eat right. He train right. When you in shape like that, your body is healed. You can recover. So it's not physically why he need to retire. Now, if mentally he not right, that would be a whole nother story. But physically, no, he can still fight. You had old school boxers fighting shit, hundred times and shit, and they all right. Shit, look at Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran, who I had the privilege of meeting. Roberto Duran had over 100 fights and shit. He's still talking and walking. Deontay Wilder ain't take that type of punishment. That was one fight. He normally been doling out the punishment. He just had that one bad night. He had that one bad night, and he caught a little punishment. I don't think it was enough punishment for him to call it a career, and especially considering he done had such a long layoff. Considering he done had such a long layoff, I don't think that he need to retire that yet. We don't have any proof of that. Like if he fought his next fight and he looked terrible, and you could tell that fight had a physical toll on him, that would be different. But we haven't seen that as of yet. So he's a young man. He still need to get in there and do his thing for as long as he want to. He's not showing the physical signs of wear and tear that he doesn't need to fight anymore.
Now,
He don't. Go ahead.
Do you believe this Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight happens next?
I'm not sure, man. I'm be honest with you. I'm not even sure. I can't call it. Like they keep trying to, cause they clearly keep trying to push that agenda now. They're trying their best to push it. So I don't know. I'm not even going. I can't even. I'm not going to say one way or another. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. I can't really call it. Like I've been hearing that for a few months now. So I guess the only best thing I can say, I guess time will tell. But I would prefer to see Deontay Wilder get his shot first if it was up to me. I would prefer to see him get the shot first, rightfully, because that's how it was contracted. So he deserved it. And the man gave you a shot. He gave you a shot not once but twice. He gave you a shot for you coming back from being a dope fiend, a drug addict. You
Homeless.
understand? And all that shit. He didn't have to give you that shot, but he gave you that shot because Deontay Wilder is very much aware of the history of the sport of boxing. So he knew. And you got to remember, at that time, Deontay was in heavy pursuit of that fight against Anthony Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And you remember they was talking that nonsense about Joshua being the A side, him being the B side. So I understood their logic in taking the fight against Fury, because Fury was still the lineal champion. So, and at the time he only had the WBC. So had he won that, he'd had that lineal recognition to take into his negotiations against Joshua. So that was actually a smart move. That was a smart move because it would have gave him more bargaining, give him a greater bargaining chip when they went to the table to make that fight, which at the time they was pursuing. So I totally understood that shit. So I agreed with him. That was the main reason in which I agreed with him taking that fight, because I felt that would help him to have a better bargaining chip in his negotiations to get that Joshua fight at that time.
For sure, for sure. All right, y'all. We're gonna do our last words, and then we're gonna get out of here, man. I'm
No
gonna
doubt.
tonight. I gotta get up early in the morning, man. It's gonna be a tough week for me, man. I got a lot of overtime to do this week, man. So I gotta get
Tell
some.
me about. I'm at work now. I
Yeah,
was able to get on this night. I haven't been able to get on with y'all the next. I've been checking it off and on, but I was able to speak this night.
for sure, for sure. All right, so let everybody know where to find you at, man, and what you got going on.
You can find me on Instagram at Best Pugilist 9 on Instagram, and Best Success Boxing on Facebook. And currently I got some projects I'm working on with some young fighters. I'm trying to develop up here in New York. Me and my team. I got a couple of young talent I'm just working on trying to develop. I'm working out of gyms out in Brooklyn at the Gym X Boxing Club right now. I was working out of Star City Boxing Club, but that program is shut down at the moment. And I'm just trying to develop my company, man, and just get these kids involved in the sport, man, that I love. And me and my two of my other partners and cousins, we have a program called the Ty Initiative. And that's my cousin named Ty, but it's an acronym, and it stands for Professional Trainers Advancing Humanity. It's like the ancient Egyptian deity Ty, but that's his name. And we have some programs there that we're developing for the youth, mentoring the youth, and reaching out to the kids and so on and so forth.
So H Money, my dog, man. What's going on, big dog?
What's good, man? I just had to come through real quick. You know what I mean? I heard y'all talking about the fight right now. Like I said earlier, man, I think Wilder, had a great career. He has nothing else to prove in the sport of boxing. You made a lot of money, you rich, you never have to fight again. I want to see Wilder, you know what I mean, retire, and possibly stay home with his family, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of great avenues, as you can see. Andre Ward working with ESPN, Timothy Bradley. Those brothers got a great job. And I expect PBC to give Deontay Wilder that same job right there. You know what I mean? And he has a great life after boxing. He deserves it. You know what I mean? He was a heavyweight champion for a very long time. And it's time for the king to rest. You feel me? Let the king live. You feel me? That's all I got to say about it. He proved himself, bro. You know what I mean? He about 35, 36 now. You know what I mean? Why we want the soldier to keep fighting for, bro? He already delivered so many great knockouts. Y'all was just talking about it against the Vern. You know what I mean? So many great memories. You know what I mean? So I think at this point, I just want to see Wilder, be home with his family and also you know what I mean, possibly become a trainer in the sport of boxing. That's what I'm looking forward to for Wilder. As far as Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, I'm excited about the undisputed fight. I'm going to go with Anthony Joshua. I mean, Tyson Fury, he's a very good boxer as well. So
I feel like it's a 50-50 fight, but I'm leaning towards Anthony Joshua though.
For sure, for sure. All right, H Money, tell everybody where to find you at, and tell us what you got going on.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate that, man. You know, first of all, I want to give a special shout out to the boxing section, man. You know, where we chop it up and we break bread with each other. You know, we really break it down right here. You know, so you could definitely find me right now on YouTube. Right now, H Money Boxing. You feel me? H Money, Mr. The Zone, Mr. Supreme. We in the building. You dig? Shout out to my brothers on the panel. And, you know, shout out to Devin Haney. Shout out to Bill Haney and my boy Charles Lolo Harris. Lolo the coldest, man. Only 17. The LeBron James of boxing. Real talk, man. You know what I mean? The best prospect in the world. Only 17. Undefeated. 4 wins, 3 knockouts. You dig? That's how we doing it.
And I wanted to, hey, H Money, before you go, man, I want to say congratulations on your page being monetized. I know that's something that you've been wanting to do for a minute. So I'm happy for you, bro. I wanted to say it to you the other day, but you got off so quick before I could tell you that. But man, salute to you, man, on your success, your changing of your image, man, your professionalism. Even though I allow you to be unprofessional over here, I appreciate you, man, for coming through here, man. And I'm so happy for you, bro, that your page is now monetized, man. Y'all go subscribe to my homeboy. Y'all like and share that man videos, man. He putting hard work in. He doing a lot of videos, and he go live a lot. So man, y'all go follow my boy H Money, man.
For real though, yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Thank you, bro.
No, come on, man. You know, hey, listen, ain't no boxing section start without H Money. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I'm able to do this, or even know how to do this, the first person to teach me how to do this StreamYard was H Money. I called him on Instagram, and I said, bro, how do you do this? He walked me through every single step. So I always got major love for him, man. If he want to come over here and cuss as much as he want to, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to let him. You know what I'm saying? Pugilist, man. Everybody go stop what you're doing, man. Go follow that, man. The boxing pugilist, he's got a lot of knowledge in the sport of boxing. You can learn a lot from him, man. So with that being said, man, we're going to continue to keep our foots on their necks. Another one like the other one. Same superheated, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's chicken one day, feathers the next. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. Hey, H Money, what time you going live tomorrow?
Man, I don't even know, bro. So, you know, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel. Ain't no telling, bro. You know, I'm going to get a set time, though. We're going to be working on a set time very soon, though, for sure.
For sure. And make sure you hit that bell icon. Make sure you hit that like button. Matrix R, salute to my brother Centos Boxing, salute to my brother Rob Brown, Hustler Slim, Cam, Rob Brown, YV, Dre Bug, DJ. Let me see who else we got. SF City Slicker. Let me see. JB, Ben Israel, my boy Barbershop Boxing Conversations with Sir Reggie Owens, P Good, Gump 88. Let me see who else we got. Tino the Great. Let's see. J.A. Dixon. Let me see who else with Kangaroo that came through here earlier, man. From Australia, man. Thanks for coming through here and kicking it with us, man. And tomorrow night, we back at it, man. Another great show with great people, man. I appreciate y'all for stopping through, man. Hit that like button on your way out. And again, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Peace.
No doubt. All right, peace.
Appreciate you, Puge.
You too, bro. It's an honor.
At the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. Well, I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.